So what do you think then Xavi said that about the trophies, and if I don't win anything this season, I'm going to resign, I live by myself, kind of thing, because he must know himself that really this is not how you, as you rightly said earlier, this is not how you judge a process and a progression within a team, within a squad, within a football club. So that's why I was a bit surprised. And we were both surprised. I remember we talked about it on the show straight after he said it. Because it's very unusual for a manager to say, listen, if we don't win anything, I'm out.
It's unusual for this manager because he's intelligent. He's an intelligent person who understands how things are built over time.
So why do you think he said it then?
I genuinely don't know. I give two theories. One is kind of the boring one, but we've been around football a lot. These guys, they talk all the time, right? If you think about it, pre-game, post-game, twice a week, that's 4 instances where you're talking and you're being asked the same question all the time. So in the context of that, could he have dropped that in? And maybe he would have meant, if I feel I'm not helping the club, I'm going to walk away. Yeah. I don't need this. I'm Xavi. I think, did he mean that? Maybe. And he said something else, and so it wasn't planned. The other thing, which I would suggest, is, did he say it because he was hoping that somebody at the club, Laporta or Deco, would come out and say, no. We're not going to judge you on whether you win a trophy. We're going to judge you on whether this team is progressing to get Barcelona back where we want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's nonsense to judge on a trophy.
Yeah.
If he said it because he was hoping to get that kind of reaction from one of the senior people at the club, a reaction which, as far as I know, never came. Those are the only two things I can think of. Is Xavi's too intelligent to say something like that?
Yeah, I would tend to agree as well. I don't know. It feels like a very strange dynamic at the club, to be fair, between Laporta and some of the directors, Deco, of course, and Xavi's position. Remember some of the incidents we've had before when there was some stories that Laporta insisted for example, Lewandowski and Gundogan being included in the squad that travelled to Antwerp to play that Champions League match that they were already qualified and topping their group. And Laporta seems not happy that Lewandowski and Gundogan were not travelling, so he put them in himself. So I don't know if that's completely true or not, but loads of those weird stories really about how this club is functioning or dysfunctioning.
There's a broader question about Barcelona's dysfunction going back to the levers, the palancas,
True.
the fact that, I know it's happened, and so we don't talk about it anymore, but it's still very real. They mortgage the club's future. And I'm just going to restate this, right? Laporta, who is a lawyer and a politician, he is not a businessman.
Yeah.
He has not built a business, right? This is not something he's done. I mean,
it's not like Perez,
a legal business, right? So he decided to go and take an extremely risky decision. And the reasons he did this, he would say, it's because of Bartomeu and the enormous debt, and undoubtedly it was, right? But you have two ways to get out of it. You can either cut costs, try to grow organically through your youngsters and whatever, or you can roll the dice, try to get big investment in, try to spend at the levels you were at before, hoping that you hit the jackpot, and then it has a multiplier effect, right? Those are decisions that people who run businesses make every day. But this guy's never run a business.
Yeah.
And it's not his money. People who run businesses, by the way, if they're founders, it's their own skin in the game, right? This is not Barcelona. This is not Laporta's money. This is Barcelona's money.
Yeah.
So that kind of magnifies the decisions. He took what I think is a very, very risky decision. And now we find ourselves in this situation because this can really come back to bite you if you somehow screw it up. You will be under restriction for a very long time. And one of the symbols of this, I think, is Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money to sign him. They gave him a big contract. He scored a lot of goals at first. More difficult season this year. And he did score, although you've got something to say about his goal.
No, it's because you said how lucky he is, where he basically blocks the clearance and then the ball
he's
goes.
not lucky because he was hunting him down and showed desire.
No, he was not even hunting anything. Remember the Armando Broja, who's your boy, but I'm not saying that because he's your boy. His goal away at Fulham in the league.
Yes.
Where he's just running towards the goal and the ball happens to be to come into his feet and then it just goes in. The difference, I think, with the Lewandowski goal on Wednesday night, was that the Athletic Club de Bilbao defender is about to clear the ball, and Lewandowski is kind of charging towards him, running towards him. But if you look at it, he pulls his leg out. And I really think that strikers of his quality, even if you don't think that he's a top world class anymore, but he has been, I just don't think they do anything, that everything is kind of calculated and done for a reason. And I'm sure that Lewandowski pulls his leg out in case he says, like, this is going to be cleared. It's a very low probability that I could block that. But if I can, I'm just going to try it.
Because...
Then 99% of 99 times out of 100, the ball doesn't hit him and doesn't go in straight away. But, it's like when you follow a shot. A teammate is shooting. There's one chance out of 100 that the keeper is going to spill it or fumbles it. So then you follow, and 99 times you go for nothing. But the last time, you go and score.
But that's also what distinguishes, I think, a great player is what's up here in his mind. Lewandowski hasn't lost that football brain, because even your example there of chasing it down in case the keeper spills it, there's different ways to chase it down, right? You need to know what area am I going to attack, where am I going to go, how's he likely to spin it. The reality is many elite footballers have brains that tell them ahead of time how to do that. It's like when we spoke to Ben Davies on the Up and Coming Gab and Jules Meets podcast, and he talked about training with Michael Laudrup, who must have been in his mid-50s at the time, and he had all the time in the world on the ball, and he could see things in. Maybe the dude couldn't run as much, but the brain is still there.
Yeah. The thing I was a bit more uncomfortable with was Lewandowski's celebration, where he basically told people to shush and everything. Well, you've scored a goal. Okay, it was clever for you to try it, but this is not like if you scored the Lamine Yamal goal that he scored later on in that game, and then you can shush people because you scored something up, an amazing goal. So, come on, Leva, you don't score much this season. It's not a good season. When you score like that, it's a bit of luck. Even if you provoked it, it's still a bit of luck. Don't go and start shushing people.
They're going to have a big call to make in the summer on Lewandowski. He's going to have 1 year left on his contract.
What would you do?
I don't think you can shift him. I don't know who's going to come and give you money for, he's going to be 33, 34? 34 even at that stage, right?
Yeah, maybe even on his 35 years,
If somebody comes along and gives you a little bit of money for him and says, Leva, come play for us for 2 years, kind of a level down from those wages, or he makes an emotional decision or whatever, quick fix, maybe. But otherwise, I think you have to keep him and say, Leva, since you're not going to be here, you'll play, you'll work with Vitor Roque, you teach Vitor Roque, be his Yoda, and a year from now, bye-bye, because at that age, we can't sustain these wages. A guy who, by the way, is clearly playing well below his wages, or rather, his wages are well below his performance, Lamine Yamal. He had a bit of a lull, I think, a couple months ago in the season. But now you see the personality, the decision-making. We saw it the weekend against Betis. We saw it here, too. You may criticize him for missing that goal.
No, it's just I think he took it for granted and he switched his off.
But the guy has so much personality and so much quality and generally makes so many great decisions. Yeah. And I guarantee you he's going to remember this.
Yeah, the maturity. I mean, you saw him on the bench after he came off before the end. And you could tell there's one that he misses earlier, even before the big one that he missed that we've talked already about. And you could tell that he's devastated, and he should be, of course. I think the maturity that he showed again in that game, the goal he scored, which is a very Messi-esque on the right-hand side, dribbling, coming inside, shooting with your left foot and curling it. And then at the far post, it's just amazing. He's 16 and 196 days, I think it is, or 166 days. It's just ridiculous. He's so far from even being 17, man. It's not like he was 17 tomorrow, like Pau Kubasi was. But it's just ridiculous. I just love it. And Rafinha has been good, to be fair, for Xavi and for Barcelona. But for me, there's just no debate on who should play as that right winger in this team at all. He makes things happen so much. And we saw the chance that big one where he misses is his press. In a team that doesn't press well, that still I find it annoying and frustrating to watch them not pressing efficiently, not even trying to beat the press. And to be fair, there are not many teams like Athletic Club de Bilbao. To go back to that conversation we had about Spanish teams that press well and that have that kind of intensity. There are not many, especially at San Mamés, and that's how they scored their third one, by pressing well. But Barca struggle at times to beat that press. But he presses well when they don't have the ball, and I think that is very, very important too.
So going back to this kind of projecting forward, actually, I'll do that in a minute because you wanted to pick on Sergio Roberto again.
You know what I think of Sergio
Okay,
Roberto.
all right, we don't need to go there.
I
We
don't
need to
like
go.
him. The way he loses the ball on that third goal in extra time is unforgivable. It's Gab, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the ball also goes right by the center.
It doesn't matter. Your team is not set up for you to lose the ball there and then have this team. And we said the energy that Athletic Club have is incredible. And they have 5 players in the box in the 110 minute or something ridiculous like that. So this is mad. However, you should never lose the ball. And he's an experienced guy. The only thing I can give him is the experience. And then you go and do something like that. You came on and you do this. I think it's not acceptable.
All right. Sort of projecting forward with Barcelona, if they are in a situation where they have to sacrifice players or the subject, I'm going to be very clear about what I would do, and this is what I would have done instead of pulling all your stupid levers. I would trust the kids because you have a framework of kids there, right?
Yeah.
Kubarsi, Yamal. You got people
Balde.
like Fermin Lopez,
Yeah.
Pedri,
Balde.
Gavi to return. Who you? Oh yeah, Balde, of course, right? You've got other people like Ferran Torres who, is trying really hard. He's El Tiburón, the shark, whatever. They may be hokey. And if you have to sacrifice people to shed wages, you do that. In terms of sacrificing people, though, I wonder, who can you actually let go that you'll get money for? Because I think it's pretty obvious. They were hoping, Ansu Fati. He goes to Brighton, did Zerbi, sets the Premier League on fire.
Does well. You
right?
sell for 50.
And then we sell him for a ton of money, right?
So right now, who is
Doesn't
the
look like
highest
it's gonna
valued
happen.
player in that squad?
Sorry?
Who is the highest valued player in that squad? For
I
me,
would
it's
assume-
Araujo. More than Frankie.
More than Gavi.
But I think they are the ones that are not touchable. You're not going to sell Gavi or Pedri. Araujo there's a new contract negotiation situation that is not very clear whether he really wants to stay, whether they could really show him with a big pay rise or whatever that they want him to stay.
I would.
But they can't let him go either. He's their best defender
I
by
can't
far.
let him go. No. I think you would have to see what you can get for Koundé and his wages. Ideally, I think you would let Gundogan go, but you're not going to get anything for him.
Yeah. Ter Stegen? Could you let Ter Stegen and play Peña? Is Iñaki Peña good enough even?
Big leap up, right? De Jong again, though, but De Jong, man.
But he won't want to leave. He didn't want to leave last summer. He's not gonna. He seems pretty happy there. Even
Also, I think you need to get. No, I think you obviously don't trigger the João Felix thing. If you have to sacrifice somebody, I think Rafinha could have a market.
Yeah, I agree.
But you don't want to be in that situation. So hopefully, if you're a Barca fan, it never gets to that. Speaking of possibilities, just to wrap this, a lot of people went nuts when they spotted a certain former Barcelona assistant coach.
Yeah, and translator.
And translator, yeah. I believe he has a house there, so I'm assuming that's why. We're talking about Jose Mourinho, of course.
Yeah.
Rocking up.
No chance.
This is just fantasy land, yeah?
No chance whatsoever.
I was trying to think of the reasons why, and there are just so many.
There's so many. And also, 2 managers only in the history of the game have managed both? Real Madrid and Barcelona, I think. One being Radomir Antic and the other one, can't remember the name. Come on, these things don't happen. They don't happen. They just don't happen. All Jose Mourinho that he is, they just don't happen. He's never going to manage Barcelona.
And all his history and the fact that when Mourinho shows up, you end up spending money and so on.
Yeah, no. And he's not even very good. If he was at his prime, maybe, but no.
By the way, Roma's account, just as an aside, just to throw this in for all these people who don't seem to understand the concept of money, Jose Mourinho and his staff, Roma's accounts from last season came out, in which they cut losses and they still lost 99 million. And it's very obvious that it was an economic reasons why to let him go. Mourinho and his staff cost the club 19 million euros a season. That's about 23 million dollars. Off the top of my head, Pep Guardiola's staff costs you more. I'm pretty sure Carlo Ancelotti's staff costs you less. I'm pretty sure Jurgen Klopp's staff costs you less.
Yeah.
And by the way, Mourinho's staff, it's not like he's got God, Jesus, and the apostles on his staff. He has a bunch of relative no-names.
Very expensive.
I think you start to understand why this is only going in one direction.